Okay, so I'm about to talk about one of the dumbest things I've ever done. Before I get into it, just want to say hello, hi. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday so far. Tuesday, November 11th, 4:49 p.m. That's when I'm recording this. My Tuesday's going pretty good. I fixed my schedule again. I messed up my sleep schedule. I woke up at like 3 p.m. yesterday, and then today I woke up at like 11 a.m. So I don't know. My sleep schedule's got a mind of its own at this point, but this video will probably go up a little bit earlier than yesterday's because it's normal again. Anyway, today's story time. It's a good one. Hope you all enjoy it. Leave a like on the video if you do, and let's just jump into it. So, today's video all takes place back in the year of freshman year. Yeah, first year of high school. Around this time, life was actually pretty normal. Sometimes I start these stories off by being like, oh, I was actually grounded, or I just got into a bunch of trouble for something else, or, life was going kind of wild for me. Nah, around this time, life was boring. There was nothing happening, and that was good. I like when life's boring. I like when things aren't crazy. I like peace. And back then, I was having some peace. But as you all know, when things are peaceful for me, things quickly become unpeaceful. So one day in 9th grade, I wake up, I take a shower, I get ready for the day. I was pretty miserable, can't lie. My school started so early, my high school. We had to be on the bus by 6:15, 6:20, and then we'd get to school at like 6:50 a.m., and then classes would start at 7:05. So, it was just so early. Most people I talked to, their classes started at like 8:05 or like 8 a.m., right? My shit was 7. I hated that. If any of you guys have your school start that early, let me know in the comments, because if you do, I feel for you. I feel your pain. I remember how ass that was waking up that early. But yeah, I woke up, got ready for the day, showered, whatever, got on the bus, went to school. And for the most part, the school day itself was actually pretty normal. This is not one of those story times that kind of takes place during the school day. It's actually the after school day where this takes place. So let's fast forward to the end of the school day. I'm at my locker, putting my books away, grabbing my backpack and my hoodie, getting ready to leave school. When all of a sudden, I hear from behind me, "Yo, Austin." I turn around, and it's none other than my homie Casey. Casey was somebody I met in 9th grade. I met him in freshman year. I had not known him for very long, but we got pretty close pretty fast. He's one of those people that you just meet and you click with. You know what I mean? Sometimes you can know somebody for years and you just don't quite click with them the same as you would with some people's personalities that you only know for a day. You know what I mean? So yeah, me and Casey were pretty cool. I can't lie. He was definitely one of my closest friends at school at the time. And also, something to know about Casey, he wasn't the best influence. He definitely had some hobbies that my mother would not like, such as smoking cigarettes and skipping school and occasionally, smoking some weed. Yeah, he definitely had some hobbies that my mother would not like, right? And I'm not going to lie to you guys, when I was a teenager, I had those same hobbies. I mean, we all know that by now if you've been watching my channel for longer than 5 seconds. I wasn't the best teenager, and I always say this in every video. Don't be like me as a teenager. Just don't. Don't do any of the stuff I did when I was a kid or I tell in these stories. Learn from my mistakes. But yeah, around this time, me and Casey definitely both weren't the best influences on each other, I would say. So yeah, I hear Casey yell at me while I'm at my locker, and I turn around and I was like, "What's up, dude?" He's like, "Yo, what are you doing today after school?" And I was like, "Nothing." He's like, "You want to hang out?" And I was like, "I'm down." He's like, "Bet, can I come to your house?" I'm like, "Sure." And then he's like, "Do you need to ask your mom?" And I was like, "Nah, I'll be fine." He's like, "You sure she won't get mad?" I was like, "Nah, bro, she'll be at work till 9:30. I don't even have to ask. You can just come over. As long as you don't trash my house or do anything horrible, she's not going to care." He's like, "All right, bet, fuck it." So yeah, we had a plan to hang out after school. Thought that was going to be pretty fun. And another thing about Casey is he actually rode the same bus as me home. We had a different bus in the morning, which was kind of odd, but when we went home, he was on my bus. And he also lived a mile down the street from me. He did not live very far. So yeah, I was pretty excited. I can't lie. I was pretty excited to hang out that day, ride home together, and then hang out later. I was pretty stoked. So fast forward a little bit, me and Casey walk to our bus together. We both get on the bus, and 5 minutes later, the bus, leaves the school and we start driving home. Or should I say, we start driving to everybody's homes and dropping them off, right? Now, me and Casey were the 2 last stops on the bus because we were the farthest away from the school. So yeah, Casey was the second to last person dropped off, and then I was the very last person dropped off. So we are on the way home from school, and it was about a 40-minute bus ride. So we're just in the back, just hanging out, talking, whatever. And about 20 minutes into it, Casey starts acting a little bit strange. He's looking down at his feet, and he keeps rocking back and forth, and he's kind of lost in thought. He's not really responding to jokes I'm making and stuff. And it gets to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to ask him what's up. I'm like, yo, Casey. He's like, what? What's up, man? I'm like, are you okay? You feeling all right? Like, you sick or something? He's like, nah, I'm all right, man. I'm fine. And he kind of just like goes back to doing what he was doing. And I was like, bro, are you sure? Like, you don't look so good. And he's like, nah, man, I really need a cigarette. Now, Casey was like actually addicted to cigarettes. Like, you know, some people in high school that I met, they'd have one here and there, like they had a vape or something. But like he would actually smoke a lot of cigarettes, and it would definitely show when he didn't have one for a while. So that explained why he was acting weird. And he's like, man, I wish I smoked one before I left school. I wish I like snuck out to the back and like smoked one quick. He's like, I'm really tweaking right now. And I was like, bro, you're fine. Like, you'll be home in like 20 minutes. He's like, yeah, I know. I'll be chilling. And for a little bit, he snaps out of it. For like the next 5 minutes, he seems fine, right? Kind of like he's just over it. And then like 5 minutes later, he starts acting funny again. This time, even worse. He's like really, really kind of like anxious, right? And all of a sudden, he just goes, all right, man, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to sneak like 1 or 2 hits. It'll be fine. The bus driver won't even notice. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, like he won't care. Now, our bus driver that we had, he really didn't give a fuck about anything. This dude was just always silent. There could be people like throwing sandwiches at each other and like fucking throwing food at each other and like screaming at each other and jumping around and shit. And he just wouldn't care. This guy just did not give a fuck. That's probably not a good thing, you know, because if there was a situation where he needed to put his foot down, he wouldn't. But like a few months later, we got another bus driver who was a lot stricter. I've actually told stories about him in the past. So yeah, this guy didn't last very long. But anyway, yeah, Casey was like, I'm just going to take 2 hits and the bus driver won't care. And I thought that was a fucking terrible idea. But at the same time, the bus driver, I honestly thought he wouldn't give a fuck. And Casey reaches into his backpack. He grabs a pack of cigarettes. He takes one, lights it up, takes 2 puffs, hands it to me. And he goes, you want one? And me just being a stupid, like dumb, not really using my full brain kid, I grabbed it and I took a puff. And after I took a puff, I coughed a lot because I don't smoke cigarettes. So that shit hurt. And I gave it back to him and he immediately puts it out and he puts it back in the little like container and he puts it all away. And I look up and there's cigarette smoke just pooling off our seat. So like I have to like, you know, wave it away and shit as fast as I can. And so does Casey. And after we wave it away, the bus just reeks of cigarettes. But the bus driver wasn't saying anything. He seemed like he didn't care. At one point, I even saw him look up in the mirror and like make eye contact with me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know how sometimes bus drivers will like look up in their little rear view mirror and like you'll see their eyes looking at you. He did that and then he just looked back down at the road. So like, I don't think he cared. I think he knew. I do. I think he knew, but he didn't give a fuck. And I looked over at Casey and I was like, yo, I don't think he cares. And Casey's like, really? And I was like, nah, I don't think he does. And I ain't gonna lie, I didn't expect Casey to do what he was about to do next. I thought Casey would just like laugh and be like, oh, cool, we got away with it. He then takes the cigarette back out, lights it back up, and just starts smoking it. Not like 1 hit, 2 hit. No, he's just smoking it, multiple puffs. And it gets to a point where I have to like reach over and open the window next to him. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, why are you pushing your luck? Like, you're gonna make the whole bus fill up with smoke and he's gonna pull over. And he's like, bro, you said it yourself. Like, he doesn't care. I was like, yeah, about the few hits, not a whole cigarette. And he's like, dude, we're fine. And he just keeps smoking it. Now, at this point, like half the people on the bus are off the bus. There's only like a few kids left. But those few kids that were left, one of them in specific ended up saying something. Yeah, he goes, it smells like cigarettes in here. Now, he's like 2 seats ahead of us, right? And I hear someone else go, yeah, it kind of does. And immediately I like poke my head up and I look and I see the bus driver looking in his mirror, looking at me. And once again, he just looks back on the road, doesn't pull the bus over, doesn't freak out or anything. And I was like, yo, like, what is going on? And fucking Casey ends up just finishing the cigarette. He just finishes it, right? Blowing the smoke out the window. And like no one else said anything. Now, after that, we had a pretty normal bus ride. The rest of that bus ride was very normal, right? And it came time to drop off Casey. We got to his house and I watched him walk off the bus. And as he walked off the bus, he got stopped by the bus driver. And I see the bus driver say something to him. And Casey just nods his head, turns around and walks away. And as Casey's walking up his driveway and the bus is pulling off and we're heading to my house to drop me off, I text Casey and I was like, yo, what'd the bus driver just say to you when you were getting off? Like, what was that? And he replies with a crying emoji and says, I got caught. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, he told me to never do that again. No more cigarettes. And I reply and I was like, that's it? He didn't like take him off you or like threaten to tell the principal? He's like, nah, man. And I was like, bro, you are so fucking lucky. Now after this, we got to my house and I just got off. I was the last kid on the bus. I got off. Bus driver didn't say anything to me, so that was good. I still don't know to this day how he knew that like Casey was the one with the cigarettes and not me. Like he talked to Casey about it, but not me when I got off, which I thought was kind of odd. Maybe he could like see us in the mirror somehow. Maybe like he just had a feeling. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, he didn't say anything to me. So I got off the bus and like 20 minutes later, Casey came over because he lived down the street and we had plans to hang out after school, like I said earlier. And he comes over and we get in my room and we're just laughing about the whole situation, right? And how lucky we got. We're like, holy fuck, like, can't believe it went down that way. And I'm like, yo, I can't believe you didn't get like suspended or some shit. And Casey's laughing about it. And we have a nice, normal, fun hangout session, right? And we thought we were so slick. We both didn't get caught. Like, we got to hang out the whole day. You know, we thought like we were just hot shit, right? Well, then the next day rolled around. And little did I know, things were just getting started. So the next day rolls around, right? And I'm on the bus, listening to music, on my way to school, like I typically would. And I'm kind of drifting off because a lot of the times on the morning bus when I listen to music, I would just kind of fall asleep. And we were about 10 minutes out from the school when all of a sudden I get a text message from Casey. And I look down at my phone real quick and I see it's from him. And I kind of like half read it and kind of started to drift back off. And then I immediately snapped out of my sleep and I was like, holy shit, did that just say what I think it did? And I look at the home screen and it says, yo, when you get here, they're going to call you in the principal's office. Don't say shit. And immediately I respond. I was like, what? And he goes, yeah, bro, I'm in here right now. They called me in when I got here. I think they know about the cigarettes yesterday. And I was like, oh, no. And Casey wasn't kidding because when the bus pulled up to school and I walked in, immediately there was a security guard at the door waiting for me. And he like escorted me up to the principal's office and sat me down in a chair right next to Casey in the principal's office. And like 5 minutes later, the principal comes in and she sits down and she's like, hey guys. And we both kind of look at each other and then look back at her. And I was like, hey. And the principal's like, so the day hasn't even started yet and you're both already in my office. Can you guess why? And me and Casey both played so stupid. We're both like, no, we have no idea. Obviously full of shit, right? And the principal knew that because she laughed and she was like, I think you guys know why. I think you know why you're here. And I was like, oh, what is it? And she goes, I'll enlighten you. So yesterday on the bus, am I ringing any bells? Now we knew. Now we knew we were really cooked because it's like, all right, she knows. She knows. And I just stayed silent and so did Casey. And she goes, oh, okay, so still not ringing any bells. Okay, all right, well, yesterday on the bus, I got a complaint from your bus driver saying that 2 people in the back were smoking cigarettes. Now, the only 2 people that sit back there every day, according to him, are you guys. And there was smoke coming off your seats. So, wonder who it was. And we both have that face of like guilt on, like a deer in headlights. Like we knew we were caught and she could see it. And she goes, wow, you guys look looking a little nervous. And I look over at Casey and he looks at me. And Casey just starts lying. He's like, we didn't smoke any cigarettes. You can't prove anything. Like, we're innocent. Obviously, we were not innocent. And my principal just chuckles. And she goes, why don't you guys make this easy and just tell me what you were doing on the bus yesterday? And it'll be a lot better for you guys than just lying. Like, make this easy on yourselves. Tell the truth. It's your one chance. If you don't, we're going to find out regardless. And then you'll be in a lot more trouble. And I looked over at Casey. He looked at me. We both just didn't know what to say. So we both kind of like stayed silent. And she goes, okay, guess we have to do this the hard way. Would you guys mind if we searched you? Now, I ain't gonna lie. I had nothing on me, so I didn't care. I was like, sure. Casey shut up. He just didn't say anything. And I think we all know why. Casey had cigarettes on him. And if they searched him, they were gonna find him. And then he'd be looking pretty guilty. So like 2 minutes later, the school cop comes in and searches our backpacks and us. And they found nothing on me. Like I said, I had nothing. But you want to guess what they found on Casey? They found a pack of cigarettes, a lighter, and here's the real cherry on top. They found a weed pipe. Yeah, they found a bowl in his backpack. No weed, but, you know, it was definitely used for weed. It smelled like it. And he was caught. He was caught red-handed. And the police was, like, chuckling, and the principal was, like, smiling. And, yeah, it was not good, man. Like, he was definitely caught. And my principal looks over at Casey and goes, all right, Casey, last chance. You want to be honest with us and tell us what happened yesterday? And Casey proceeds to do what I did not expect him to do. He goes, I smoked a cigarette. I won't lie. I did. And my principal goes, what about Austin? And he goes, nope, Austin did not. He was sitting next to me, but he did not smoke a cigarette. In fact, he told me it was a bad idea. So let him go back to class. You can punish me, but he's good. Yeah, Casey just straight took the fall for me, man. Now, technically, I did not smoke a cigarette, so I guess he was kind of telling the truth. But I did take a hit. I did. And I was there with him, so I easily could have gotten in just as much trouble, for participating. But he just took the whole fall for me, man. And I couldn't believe that. Anyway, after he says this, my principal goes, "Okay, Austin, you're off the hook. Go to class." And I got the hell out of there. I got the hell out of there fast as hell. And when I walked out, I kind of looked at Casey, gave him a little head nod, kind of like that head nod of like, "Good luck, bro. You got this." And I walked out of the room. And after I walked out, I went to my first period class. And I remember just sitting down in class in that whole first period, just being worried about Casey. I didn't know what was going to happen to him. I didn't know if he was going to get 2 days of suspension, 2 weeks of suspension, like a month of detention. Like there were so many different punishments he could get. I did not know what they were going to do, right? And I was pretty worried. My biggest worry is that they were going to move him out of school. Because sometimes if you fucked up enough, they'd put you in this other school. I've talked about it before. I've been there many times. And you kind of get kicked out of school temporarily. So I was worried they were going to do that. And I wouldn't have my homie anymore. And after first period was over, I tried to text him, but it just went to not delivered. I think his phone was off or he didn't have service or something. And the whole day, pretty much, I just didn't hear from him. And I didn't hear from him for the whole school day. And after school was over, I got home. And when I got home, I looked at my Facebook and there was nothing there. And then I looked at my Twitter and I had a fucking Twitter DM from him. And it said, "Hey, dude, just wanted to give you an update. Phone got taken away for a month, got suspended for 2 days, got kicked off the bus for the rest of the year, and I have to go to this other school for a few weeks." So he got 2 days of suspension, kicked out of our school for like 3 weeks, and he couldn't ride our school bus for the rest of the year and had to get rides from his parents. So yeah, I'd say he got punished pretty bad. Like he definitely, he got a pretty harsh punishment. Obviously, rightfully so. But for quite a while, he was in some pretty deep shit. I remember even after his 3 weeks, punishment was over and he was back at our school, he was still pretty in trouble at home. And his parents were randomly searching him and, keeping his phone from him. And yeah, he was in a lot of trouble. Definitely in a lot of trouble. But that leads me to the final part of this video, and that is moral of the story. Moral of the story is, don't smoke cigarettes on the bus. Don't smoke cigarettes, period. They're fucking gross, bro. They're literally just sticks that give you cancer. Don't smoke them. They're nasty. Yeah, not worth it. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. In the end, I was fine, which is rare. Usually I'm the one getting in a shit ton of trouble, but it wasn't me this time. So yeah, pretty rare. But I hope you guys enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
I got trouble for days. Why is everybody acting like they got a friend? Type of